So let's do part 2 on our deep dive into in-ear monitors that actually don't sound terrible for bass. We're going to check out the Xvive T9 set. Now this is a follow-up, kind of, to a review I did a little bit ago on the Xvive U4 body pack and transmitter set for in-ear monitors. That's well worth looking at because this is kind of a companion set. Check that out. I'll put a card up here and a link down below. But that's basically for the body pack and then transmitter set that you're going to need to plug these into. But as I promised in that video, I wanted to go over some actual different sets of monitors and see the difference in performance and see if the actual in-ear assemblies could meet up and be of worth to bass players, because as I mentioned in that video too, we do tend to get kind of shafted a good bit on it. The sound quality isn't there, or it just doesn't have a good enough projection of the bass for us to be able to hear ourselves. We can hear everybody else ear-shattering loud, but not ourselves. So I checked out a few pairs, and then I decided to go with the companion set because it made the most sense to see, what they had that accompanied the body pack and what was supposed to go with it. So we have the T9 set here. The other thing, as I also mentioned before, I keep referencing the earlier video, so you need to check it out. But I've noticed some other prominent bass players that have keyed into it. As I mentioned before, Doug Wimbish, fantastic bass player and someone I respect a lot. He started using them, and even recently, friend of the channel, he's been on an interview before, but David Ellefson, formerly of Megadeth and now with Dieth and a few other projects, he did a video saying that he was using them and having a good time. So that was endorsement enough for me to go and check these out. And again, since they're the companion set, definitely worth a listen. So checking these out, the first thing that appealed to me about these was the fact that they're clear. I've noticed a lot of the other sets I looked at, they're actually either black or a bright color, or there's something about their emblem that stands out. And one, I don't need to be an advertisement the whole time. I'm just trying to hear myself. And the other is I don't like the kind of strange look of something oddly colored or something setting in the ear. So that really appealed to me, and I like that right up front. Now, the other half of it is that my main concern when I checked out all these sets was, since we're trying to do stuff on a budget, and yeah, if you're in a huge touring band or something, this isn't as much a big thing for you, but a lot of the people, and my kind of focus on the channel and the average musician's budget in mind for higher end gear is that a lot of the higher end bands or higher end systems, you're going to get the molded in-ear things. So they have to be personally done, and that's going to give you that really kind of custom fit, really sealed into the ear. So I was also interested to see, having worked with some of those before, if something with standardized plugs would actually be fair enough competition, or if they just weren't going to cut it. So we'll talk about all that in a minute, but let's see what comes in the package and what you get with it, because the form and fit actually has to do with some of the accessories. But first you get a small carrying case, and as I talked about with the U4, I really like this because, again, it's something really small that you can make sure just goes in your gig bag or something. If you're going overseas or you've got a travel gig, you can always have your setup with you and compact it into a really small environment. The other is you get all this are different foam inserts. So rubber tips that fit on the ends of these, so you can see them right here, that fit onto the top of these that go into the ear, right on the side of here. There's a number of different sizes, as you can see on here, and they're color coded so you can match them per each side. Makes it pretty easy. This was key to me because, not being able to have a molded set, I actually have two different size ear canals. This side, because I actually used to get a lot of ear infections when I was younger, is smaller than this side is. So I was able to balance it out by having two different sizes, and that helped out a lot with really getting that fit in. So if you haven't used them before, in-ear monitors, it's just like this, and it just kind of clips over the ear, and then you just tuck it in. It's a fairly comfortable fit. It doesn't feel like it protrudes too much. It does pretty quickly block out some of the exterior noise and things, almost like a very mild set of earplugs, but not quite that underwater feeling. And basically, once you get these in, the best way to run them is, down the back of your shirt on the inside or outside, and kind of this way. At least I feel this is the best way. And they fit over the ears, and in like this. Then what I wanted to do is run a sound test on them and see how they differed from the other sets I fit, and if I really felt like this was a good set for bass as I'd seen with the other endorsements. So as far as the sound goes, I found that the isolation was pretty good, that it did is once I got, you know, a good recording level coming at me, it wasn't completely dead isolation outside, but it was good enough that I didn't have to turn it up to ear-shattering level to where I'm going to have, you know, potential hearing issues or something like that from having really loud in-ears, which is a danger, and, you know, make sure you're paying attention to that. But it was good and clear. What I noticed about it, though, is on a number of the sets that I tried out, there's this sparkling high end that sounds really nice if you're listening to music or something like that, but it's not quite as practical if you're a bassist trying to use something like this. The main reason being, when you have all this extended high range and things, one, that's what you're going to hear the most of, and two, it takes up that sonic room that you need to be able to hear the bass frequencies correct. These aren't dull sounding, but it wasn't that hi-fi overhyped type of thing that's kind of ear candy. I need to hear my bass exactly and hear a good mix with all the other instruments, not a bunch of, you know, spiced up frequencies added into something that I might prefer if I'm listening to an album or something, that are actually going to keep me from hearing myself as well. If I'm hearing a lot of high end, especially extended, that isn't really necessary, then it means I've got to turn the bass up louder, which means now the whole thing's just becoming dominoes falling downhill. So that to me is what spoke again about these being something that is going to be a better fit for a bassist trying to hear himself than a lot of the other ones with, you know, multiple sets of drivers and even way more expensive, but they're giving us frequencies that we don't need and are more for almost listening pleasure than really practicality. So as I ran these back, I noticed that punch, clarity, and the depth of the sound were the big features on it. And I gotta say, there's a reason, I think, why these were designed to go with, you know, this pack and the full set. They marry together well, everything synced up really nice, and what that body pack is receiving translates really well into these. In the other video, again, make sure you check it out, I did a comparison in between the signal being sent to the body pack and my recording directly into the DAW, and they were basically identical. That's exactly what I heard out of here too, and when I added guitars in, I noticed, like I said, they didn't have this way extended high range. It was just basically how you, it was almost more like listening to studio monitors than it would be a hyped up type of set of headphones where, again, you want that extended experience. This was more very precise, very clear, and the extended bass was right there and easy to be able to perceive and not have it just kind of get lost how you think they might be with something this small. So that was very cool. The other thing is, and I mentioned this before again, this is part of a wireless series I'm doing, and I'm going to start showing a number of different options on how these can be used, not just live, and other wireless options for recording, things like that. Even if you're not playing live, I think something like these could be really useful for a number of different applications. Like, my first thing was for me to be able to do something like either record bass or vocals and be able to have these and move into a different room away from where my recording gear is, and, you know, maybe, especially if I'm doing vocals, have like a booth or a dead room or something like that. Or if I've got a guitar that has single coils in it, or I just want to be away from the gear and isolate myself, being able to go wireless and hear these and have something that's completely in-ear, it's not being picked up on microphones, or not having to blast these speakers into my live room so I can hear everything, and then have cables you got to stretch and all this other type of stuff. I can just pick up my bass and go, or I can just walk in there to a microphone, which also has a wireless attachment, and we'll be looking at that later. But, you know, just being able to get up and move and still have that clarity of monitoring. The other thing I've been doing is putting on a set of these, and I'll be showing this at a later date, but making my entire pedal board wireless. So I can have my bass going through my full rig and sit there and move around as I want to, even go anywhere else in the house, different parts of my studio or something, or just get up and walk around and play and be able to hear my full rig accurately, tight, and in-ear. So that's been really cool too. So there's a number of other options that these can serve a purpose for, even when you're not playing. So it's not just a live investment. I'm really starting to see a number of different advantages to these, and I'm glad I've stumbled on a set that's pretty reasonable in price, and again, well within our range, but the technology's gotten there so that the quality for all the different types of purposes we're talking about can be served, and the average musician can get these in at a decent price. So I'm going to put a link down below exactly to where these are, and you can get them on Amazon, which is, I figure, where most people are probably going to grab them. It's not an affiliate link. I make no commission, nothing like that. So not that you're not welcome to give as much money to the channel as you want. But no, I'm not profiting it off of it. I would let you know if I was. It's just a straight link for those. I think these are a good set. The pros on this being they're comfortable. It's really easy to get a super comfortable but tight fit without them having to be expensive and personally molded. Get them right out of the box, good to go. A lot of different options. Small set, it matches up with the body pack and transmitter really well, and definitely isn't going to break the bank on these. So for bass, I think these are about the best set that I tried, and I'm kind of glad that it turned out to be the ones that match up with this company's receiver as well, because getting packages, cutting the price even further if you buy both parts at one time, that kind of thing, that's a big advantage, and you can save even more money. So what are your thoughts on in-ears? And do you feel like these might cure some of the problems you've had with hearing live? Have you had other in-ears that didn't work with you and had some of the problems like I said before? I've had ones that I just could not hear the clarity of the bass, and I just abandoned the whole idea completely. Are you looking into them and think this might be a good option for you? And what are your opinions on in-ears and live sets like that altogether? Hit me up in the comments. Let's talk about that. And if you come up with other situations that I haven't mentioned that you found these useful, I'm always open to hearing new ideas, get the most out of what we're buying, right? So that's going to wrap it up. Again, another good recommendation on these, and this is going to go towards definitely the production of the new wireless series I'm talking about doing. You'll be seeing these and some of the other stuff I'm going to be demoing here. But that wraps it. The Xvive T9 in-ear setup. I think it's a winner. So check them out. Let me know what you think. I will see you on the next one.